Flex. Awareness is the birthplace of transformation, every change we long for. Whether it is breaking free from old habits, finding peace in chaos, Flex, or stepping into a greater version of ourselves, begins with the ability to notice. Without awareness, we move through life on autopilot, Flex, repeating the same thoughts, the same patterns, and the same reactions, as if we are passengers on a train that never changes its tracks, Flex. But with awareness, we become the conductor. We can pause, redirect, and create something new, Flex. Think for a moment about how often we react without thinking. A word is spoken, and we snap back. An obstacle appears, Flex, and we feel defeated before even trying. An opportunity arises, and fear convinces us to turn away, Flex. These are automatic responses programmed by years of conditioning. The brain, efficient as it is, prefers routines, Flex. It creates grooves of behavior that play out again and again. Without awareness, we become prisoners of those grooves, Flex. But awareness cracks the cycle. Awareness allows us to step back, to see ourselves in action, Flex, and to recognize that we are not bound to the old script. When you observe your thoughts instead of being consumed by them, Flex, you create a gap between stimulus and response. In that gap lies choice, the most powerful tool you will ever possess, Flex. Choice is where transformation begins. The act of observing changes everything. For example, Flex, imagine catching yourself in the middle of frustration. Instead of lashing out, you notice the tightness in your chest, the speed of your breath, Flex, the rising heat in your body. In that single moment of noticing, you shift from being inside the frustration to standing outside of it, watching, Flex. That simple shift weakens the grip of anger. You suddenly realize that I do not have to react in the same way I always have. I can breathe, Flex. I can choose patience. I can choose silence. I can choose strength. Awareness also exposes the illusions we live under, Flex. Many of us identify so deeply with our thoughts that we believe we are them. If the mind says, "You are not enough," we accept it as truth, Flex. If the mind says, "This will never work," we surrender before even attempting. Yet, awareness reveals that thoughts are not truths, Flex. They are passing clouds. By observing them, we reclaim authority over what we accept and what we release, Flex. This is why awareness is not just a mental skill, but a spiritual practice. It is the art of remembering that we are more than our emotions, Flex. More than our fears, more than our doubts. Awareness pulls us into the present moment, where clarity lives. In presence, Flex, we find the space to choose differently, to act from intention rather than compulsion. Every great change begins with this simple, Flex, profound act of noticing. The person who learns to observe their inner world gains the power to shape their outer world, Flex. Because the moment you see clearly, you are no longer a victim of unconscious patterns. You are the author of your own response, Flex, and therefore the creator of your own reality, Flex. The breath is the most faithful companion we will ever have. From the moment we enter this world until the moment we leave, it never abandons us, Flex. It sustains life silently, often unnoticed, as we rush from task to task, thought to thought, moment to moment, Flex. Yet when we turn our awareness toward it, we discover that breath is more than oxygen feeding the body, Flex. Breath is a bridge between mind and body, between chaos and calm, between who we are now and who we can become, Flex. Consider how easily the breath reveals our state of being. When fear strikes, the breath becomes shallow. When anger rises, it turns fast and hot, Flex. When peace washes over us, it lengthens and slows. The breath does not lie. It is a mirror reflecting the landscapes of our inner world, Flex. This is why so many wisdom traditions have treated the breath as sacred. It is both a messenger and a guide, Flex. When we choose to engage with the breath consciously, it transforms from a simple biological function into a tool for mastery, Flex. A single deep inhale has the power to signal the nervous system to slow down, shifting the body out of survival mode, Flex. A steady rhythm of mindful breathing can calm the storm of thoughts racing through the mind, Flex. In the same way a bridge allows us to cross a river that once divided us, Flex, the breath allows us to cross from unconscious reaction to conscious presence. The bridge of breath connects us to the present moment. Flex. Unlike the mind, which races into the past or leaps into the future, the breath exists only here and now. Flex. Every inhale is a reminder that this moment is alive, that this moment is available, that this moment is enough. When we focus on the breath, flex, the chatter of the mind begins to fade. Flex. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. What matters is that we are breathing, and in that breath is clarity. Flex. Science has begun to confirm what sages have taught for centuries. Controlled breathing alters brain waves, balances the nervous system, flex, and influences hormones that regulate mood and energy. Breath practices are now prescribed for anxiety, depression, flex, and trauma because they restore a sense of grounding and control. Yet beyond science, there is also mystery. How can something so simple, flex, so ordinary unlock such profound transformation? The answer lies not in the breath itself, but in our relationship to it. Flex. When we breathe unconsciously, it keeps us alive. When we breathe consciously, it awakens us. Flex. The breath becomes a bridge not only between the physical and mental, but also between the seen and the unseen. With each inhale, flex, we draw in possibility. With each exhale, we let go of the weight we no longer wish to carry. This rhythm becomes a dialogue with life itself. Flex. Reminding us that we are participants in a greater flow. Flex. What we experience in the world around us is never separate from the world within us. Our thoughts, beliefs, flex, and emotions act like filters through which we interpret reality, coloring every situation we encounter. Two people can walk into the same room, flex, face the same set of circumstances, and yet experience entirely different realities. Flex. The difference is not in the external world, but in the inner lens through which they perceive it. Flex. This is why transformation does not begin with changing circumstances. It begins with changing the self. Flex. The mind is constantly projecting meaning onto everything it sees. If we hold fear inside, the world will appear threatening. If we carry anger, flex, the world will look unjust. If we cultivate gratitude, opportunities seem to arise where none existed before. The inner state acts as a magnet, flex, drawing experiences that match its frequency. Flex. It is not that the outside world bends to our desires magically. It is that our perception shapes what we notice, how we respond, flex, and the actions we are willing to take. This subtle process is powerful enough to rewrite the course of a life. Flex. Emotions act as amplifiers of this inner reality. Someone who wakes up feeling defeated will carry that heaviness into every interaction. Flex. A challenge at work will feel insurmountable, a conversation will feel hostile, a new opportunity will feel unreachable. Meanwhile, flex. Someone who cultivates an inner state of resilience will meet the same challenge as a chance to grow. Flex. The same conversation as an opportunity to understand, the same opportunity as a path worth exploring. The outer events have not changed. Flex. Yet the lived experience is entirely different because of the shift within. Even the body responds to the inner world. Flex. Stressful thoughts trigger chemical reactions that tense muscles, quicken the heartbeat, and cloud the mind. Flex. Peaceful thoughts invite the body into relaxation, expanding clarity and focus. The inner world does not remain hidden. Flex. It echoes outward into posture, voice, expression, and energy. Others can feel it, often without words, and respond in kind. Flex. This is why leaders who cultivate calm can steady a room, while those ruled by chaos spread instability. Flex. Awareness of this truth invites responsibility. If our inner state is shaping our outer experience, then blaming the world becomes a distraction. Flex. Change begins not by rearranging circumstances, but by tending to the soil within. Flex. This is not to deny external challenges or difficulties, but to recognize that the way we meet them determines whether they become obstacles or stepping stones. Flex. A shift in perspective can transform what once felt like a barrier into a doorway. Inner reality shapes outer reality through focus as well. Flex. The mind is wired to find what it seeks. When it looks for problems, it finds them everywhere. When it looks for possibility, flex. Doors begin to appear. This is not blind optimism, but an understanding of how attention directs energy. Flex. The stories we tell ourselves internally become the scripts by which we act, and those actions construct the reality we live in. Flex. In a world that constantly glorifies speed, productivity, and noise, stillness can seem almost unnatural. We are taught to chase, to hustle, flex, to push forward endlessly, as if our worth is measured only by how much we do or how fast we move. Flex. Yet true empowerment does not always come from action. It often emerges from stillness. Flex. Stillness is not the absence of movement but the presence of awareness. It is the space where clarity, strength, and resilience take root. Flex. When the body is still and the breath is steady, the mind begins to settle. Beneath the surface chatter. Flex. A deeper current of wisdom becomes accessible. This stillness allows us to step away from the constant pull of distractions and demands. Flex. Giving us room to reconnect with ourselves. In this space, flex, we discover that empowerment is not about overpowering the world, but about aligning with an inner center that cannot be shaken. Flex. Think about how a pond behaves when the water is restless. The surface ripples, distorting reflections, making it impossible to see clearly. Flex. But when the water grows still, it mirrors the sky with perfect accuracy. The mind works the same way. When overwhelmed by noise and restlessness, flex, our perspective is clouded, our choices reactive. In stillness, the inner waters clear, and we begin to see situations for what they are. Flex, not what fear or anxiety convinces us they must be. This clarity is the foundation of empowered decisions. Flex. Stillness is also where resilience is born. The storms of life are inevitable. Loss, setbacks, uncertainty, change. Flex. Many people exhaust themselves trying to fight these storms, believing they must control everything to feel safe. But control is fragile. Flex. And it always breaks. Stillness offers a different kind of strength, the ability to remain grounded in the midst of chaos. Flex. Like a tree with deep roots, stillness anchors us so that when the winds blow, we bend but do not break. In this way, flex, stillness is not passive but deeply active. It is the practice of choosing presence over panic, reflection over reaction. Flex, alignment over resistance. From stillness, we gain the ability to move deliberately, with purpose. Flex, instead of being swept away by every impulse or external pressure. This deliberate action carries a power that frantic striving never can. Flex, because it is rooted in clarity rather than confusion. The modern world rarely encourages stillness. Flex. Yet even brief moments of it can transform us. A few minutes of mindful breathing, a pause before responding. Flex. Or the quiet of sitting without distraction can create openings for insight and renewal. These pauses are not wasted time. Flex. They are investments in strength. They remind us that our value is not in endless doing but in conscious being. Flex. Empowerment through stillness also reshapes how we face challenges. Instead of reacting with fear, we can respond with wisdom. Flex. Instead of being consumed by chaos, we can act from a place of balance. Stillness becomes the well from which courage, creativity, flex, and compassion flow, enabling us to navigate the outer world with greater mastery.